Hello, hello. So I'm starting, well, I put down that I wasn't starting for another half an hour, but since, yes, this is Liv, C-Swept. Hello. And hi, Jean. Are you here actually right
Oh,
now? Oh, no, she put some
I
things
am
into the
sorry.
chat.
I thought you were supposed to go live at 3, not 3:30.
No, 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 it's cool. Like
Okay.
I had put down 3:30 or 8:30 my time because
Okay.
I thought we would go a bit longer.
Yeah.
Um, but it doesn't matter. People are around now, so
Okay.
I might as well do it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying, cool. I start whenever you finish.
Sure.
So here I am, and thank you, people, for coming in. Now, this is a little bit of a test for me
Yes.
because I've not tried this format and I've not tried sharing my screen whilst doing design
Yeah.
work.
You don't have any
So
personal documents on your desktop or anything?
personal documents. Well, I wasn't
You
going to
have
share my
documents?
desktop.
Okay.
I
Just the
wasn't going
app.
to share I'm just going to share the app. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I'm planning on doing. And I have the things that I want to work on open in the app currently.
Okay.
So I was going to just go with that. And I think maybe if you could help me just for a little while,
Sure.
Darlie, and because I'm wondering how I'm going to see chat whilst I am doing
Yeah.
this stuff.
Oh,
But
yeah.
maybe I'll kind of get used to looking back and forth.
Yeah.
So we'll see how we go.
Second monitor helps.
I do have a second monitor, but as I usually say to my design students when I do my online classes,
Hmm.
I will be looking up there. So
Yeah.
I'm not being rude or anything
Yeah.
like that, but there will be times when I'm sort of talking to you and looking up there. So that's normal. Now, today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working on some branding for Dali's channel because Dali, sadly, has nothing.
No. It's a
Zero.
work in progress.
Zilch. Nada. Yeah, exactly. And so anyway, I do most of my graphic design work in Adobe Creative Suite. And you can download a free trial of Adobe Creative Suite. I also do lately some work in Canva.
Okay.
The reason I do some work in Canva, it's kind of because of the fact that a lot of my clients are working in Canva, and I'm also teaching in Canva now. And it's
Okay.
not terrible software. And Dali, what I'll say to you is that are you using Canva at all?
I am not at the moment, but I'll check it out.
Well, the thing is, you can get it for free. You don't
Okay.
need to subscribe to. It's $17.99 in Australia, which probably means it's about
Yeah,
$15,
that's not bad.
$14, something like that in the US. Hey Pixie, hey Shelly, hey Fed, hey Online, Ansi, um, and I'm bronzed, of course. Yeah, so you can get the free version, which can do most of the things that you probably need to do. So,
Okay.
and so if I go and supply you the bits and pieces that I'm going to make, you
Hmm.
would be able to sort of update your StreamYard overlays, so maybe some thumbnails that you're going to make
Okay.
for your channel. And people watching, if you're like in business or if you're just doing some things for your home, you can get enough out of the free version. Hey,
Yeah.
Colleen,
Hey.
you don't really need to be investing in the full version, but the full version is pretty good.
Okay.
Now, the same with things like Photoshop and InDesign and Illustrator. They are Adobe products. I'm a professional and I pay for full version of everything. So that's what I'm going to be working with today. Now, the other thing I want to just talk about before I get into it is the fact that all of these softwares that we're going to look at, they're just tools. Okay. So just like a carpenter has a saw or a nail, um, and then they've got like power tools and things like that. They're the same. Like it's all about the carpenter knowing what to do with those tools, right? So a Mac or a PC that has Adobe Photoshop on it, or an old computer that has paint on it, or me using a notebook with pencil and paper, it's all the same thing. I'm still using my brain to come up with an idea and design
Hmm.
a layout. So all of the tools are really irrelevant if I can't get those ideas out. Okay. So that's really what it comes down to. And I'm going to really help, hopefully, if you want to come along and watch me each week, I'll help you to sort of recognize the fact that those things the tools don't really matter as much as the thought process. So, Sal.
Yes.
You've got lovely cats.
Yes.
I want to talk to you about. Thank you, Shelley. I have a story. Don't hit your thumb with the hammer. Yeah, that's right. Hey, Fed, you said I use Aussie tools for my video work, DaVinci Resolve. That's cool. It is a good software, that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so whenever I start like a branding project, I always want to know what the essence of that brand is.
Sure.
And with Sal is obviously the brand, so he's the person, and I want to get to know the person. I want to get to know what they represent. In Sal's case, he kind of plays a bit of a role, So, and that's the case with artists, comedians, entertainers. He also has like he lets a lot of his personal stuff out as well. I think that's why people love him.
Oh.
So let's have a little bit of a think about Sal and the name of his channel. So how did you come up with Salvador Dali?
So I got a Aussie cat, Babu. I was looking for a different cat, but then found him. And then because he's an Aussie cat, have you seen Archer?
Archer?
The TV show?
No.
Oh, it's a kind of like a James Bond parody cartoon. But anyways, one of the characters has an ocelot in it named Babu. So I named my cat after Babu. And then after I did that, I found out that the show named the ocelot Babu was a reference to Salvador Dali's ocelot that he had. So it just kind of all fit together, like not intentionally. And just like the whole reference just kept expanding. So then I just kind of came up with it.
And there's the famous photo of Dali with his ocelot, which you use in your current photo.
Yeah.
So it's going to take some work on my behalf to convince you to stop using that. As you can probably see from my channel branding, stop using the photo of Dali with the ocelot.
I'll have to.
As you can see from my channel branding, and it's hard for me to do my own. Like I would usually probably try and get someone else involved. But you can see from mine, it's a lot of consistency and change. So there's myself, the photo of myself, there's some type that sort of goes in a circle, and there's these backgrounds that sort of interchange. Colors are very consistent throughout, but I can also alternate them. So that's kind of what I want to create for you, but with your own style. Now I'm going to try and share screen for a moment and see if we can't get some references going. And also so I can show, in a minute, how do I do this? So I present. Now this is going to be the tricky bit.
Yeah.
Okay, and I want to put us around the other way like we usually do, like that.
Okay. There you go.
It's working.
It is.
Hey, nice. Okay, so does everyone recognize this? All right. So are they actually really your cats?
In the picture?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom got it for my birthday or Christmas.
That's adorable.
Yeah, she
okay, so
that.
I've been wanting you to zoom up on this in your room because like they are just okay, that's weird and adorable.
I know.
Which is really hang on, Matt. It's funny because it's like that being on your wall
Yeah.
says so much about you and your personality and your channel and
Yeah.
everything about your humor. And so when I do branding, I try and pick out things about the person, especially if you can find something visual to represent them. That is just like,
Yeah.
boom. I love that. Right. So yeah, that's why I said please take a photo of that. Right. So let me bring up some other ones. I'm in Photoshop right now, by the way, everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, and I've got Dali Talk here, and I'm just going to get. Okay, so there's his little friend there.
Yeah. That was the first one I got. That's
Okay,
Babu.
right. Yeah. Did you give me one of them both together?
I'm sorry?
Did you give me both of them together?
I
The
don't
two
believe so.
next to one another?
I don't think so.
Let me see. Oh, hang on. You did, but they're next to the couch. Okay, let me see.
I can.
That's all right. That's all right.
Okay.
So you can see that. I just zoom
Yeah.
in. It's a bit low res. All right. That's okay though. And then we've got the actual kitty cat there,
Yes.
which is pretty cool. All right. I like this though. This has potential. Okay, so that's that part of the room. And then we've also got, just gonna file open and I'll have a look at what else we've got. So it's interesting because you can't see my window that's opening things up, but I can, which is kind of cool actually. It means that you guys don't see my
you can research off screen.
I can research off screen. Yeah, that works. Okay. So I like that chair that we were just looking at. That's right there. And I did kind of want the other part of the room, which is, hang on everybody, it's coming. There we go. There. All right. And because what I'm thinking, everyone, is that I don't want to build the whole room, but if you know about Dali's art, Salvador Dali's art, it's surreal. That's what it is, right? It's surrealist art, and it kind of all meshes together and blah, like there's lots of actual melting of objects, right? So you remember Salvador Dali's clock?
Yeah.
And I said clock. Yeah. For all you degenerates here. Hey, Yamaha Biker. Hey, Dirk. See, hello. Nice to have you here. Okay. So for example, I'll just bring it up. I went and I got, where is it? Might be sitting in my downloads. Sorry guys, just a sec. Mind. I'll just go Dali clock, and then I will go and take the clock and I'll put it there. Okay, so then you can see the clock. And I legit just went onto Google and grabbed the clock and went onto there. Okay, so yeah, you can see that that's like one of the most iconic Salvador Dali images, the clocks that are melting. And I guess his idea was that like time is not real. Time, space, reality was all warped for him. And okay, so there's a few things we can do with all this. I have already sort of started a little bit because I didn't want to sort of waste time in the stream looking at how the type might work.
Okay.
I wanted to get the type going beforehand, and I used Adobe Illustrator for the type. Now, people who are, hey Wesley, hi, and hello Yamaha. I wanted to do something with the type that had that warped kind of look to it, but I wanted to work in vector, right? So I'm just going to
Good.
talk to you really briefly about what vectors are and where we work in.
Yes. Well, I know all about it, but no, I mean, tell them.
You would know. Yeah,
Yes.
you would know. And the
Oh,
reason
God.
you know is because you work in signage.
Yes.
But there'll be lots of people who don't. So I was working in a different software, and I didn't want to have two softwares open, basically. And I also didn't want to muddy the waters for people who are brand new to this. But basically, Adobe Illustrator is what's called a vector program. And I'm going to bring up for you what's called the pen tool. So I'm just going to zoom in on a section here. And this is actually quite a good way. I'll zoom in on a colors section. This is actually quite a good way of explaining the difference, right? So Photoshop here, Photoshop is what's called a pixel-based program or a raster-based program. Pixels and rasters are actually the same thing, right? And you can see that pixels are these little squares. Every single picture that you see, if it's an actual picture, it's made of these squares, right? And the squares are pixels. So, and when people refer to resolution in images, they're referring to the amount of pixels that are present usually per inch, so pixels per inch, or they even talk about dots per inch, which is the same thing, dots, pixels per inch. But dots are generally referring to on the printing press, but no one prints anymore, do they? They're generally the same thing. So pixels are these squares, and you can see that even looking at this, that the pixels are able to create this level of gradation. Right? You can see these levels of gradation. Well, Fed, I don't know who's here, so yeah, I'm going to go back to the basics just for a sec, and talk about this. So this is pixels, and Photoshop deals with pixels. Now, I will say I'll go forward a little bit in time, Fed, and say that Illustrator can deal with pixels, Photoshop can deal with vectors, but Photoshop's built for pixels, and Illustrator is built for vectors, right? So they can all kind of do a bit of what each other can do. So rapid, but Photoshop is the boss of pixels, and Illustrator is the boss of vectors. And so that's why I was over in Illustrator earlier doing some work with the type that I want to use for sales logo. Now, let's just zoom out a little bit. And as I just said, Photoshop can work with vectors, and I'm just going to show you the difference of what a vector is. So a vector is basically it's lines. Right, and I'm going to get this thing out called the pen tool. There it is there. Now, actually, I'm just going to let the little tooltip. It's not going to show the tooltip. That's interesting.
Just the tooltip.
So, not the tooltip, no. Nick should be here for that.
I know.
Anyway, so if I use this pen tool and I go click like so, and then click like so. Can you see that happening?
Yeah.
Might be a little bit light.
Yeah.
And then
I can see.
Click like so. And then click like so. Click like so. I'm just making like a palette kind of shape, like an artist palette. Like so. You can see that what's happening is, I'm just going to get my paths up. Yeah. And I'll make it into a shape. There we go. Right. So if I look at that, looks like it does not look like a dick. How does that look like a dick, Shelley? Really? Really?
No, I think she meant the thing on the left.
Oh, right. Okay. Fair enough. All right. So what I've just made, even though it looks like pixels from there because it's on a pixelated image. If I were to scale it up and down, I'm just going to go back to my paths. If I were to scale that up and down, grab it again. Come here, let me grab you. Hello.
Hey, Wendy.
Oh, I filled it with, oh my goodness, I filled it with kangaroos. How about that?
It's awesome.
Well, that was by accident. Didn't mean to do that. I'll do it again. I'll show you how to do that a different day. So if I were to scale it up, it wouldn't lose any of its detail. Now, I just want to show you one other thing. So if I were to go into, go to Acrobat for a second, or actually better idea. Earlier on, I made, where is it? Something that Shelley asked me to make.
I'll be right back.
All right. Yeah, something that Shelley asked me to make. And stop it. I'm just going to open Illustrator. You know the 100 thing, Shelley? Yeah, I opened up the 100 thing. And actually, he's gone. I can show you. I can show you the thing I made. Hey, Wendy. Hey, Val. He's gone. Huh. What do you guys think? Hang on. What do you guys think? Photoshop, Valhalla. At the moment I'm in Photoshop. And I was just explaining the difference between pixels and vectors. Now see how this is a vector smart object, right? Oops, why can't you see it? Oh, I see why you can't see it. I'll fix it for you. Just a minute. Probably a good thing because is he coming back? Right. Now you see it. Now you see it? No, you don't. Okay. So this was made with vectors. And I just wonder why you can't see my untitled one. Why can't you see my untitled one? I might need to share screen in a different way. Hold on a minute. Present. It's only letting me share one file at a time, which is pretty annoying actually. So I'll just go, actually that is really weird because you can see me change screens like this. I'm changing to different pictures. Yep, you didn't see the 100 either. Yeah, that's really weird. But I can change between these photos, correct? Yeah. Yeah, it is Photoshop. It is Photoshop, Wendy. But you can see You can see that. Huh. You can see that. Interesting. Okay, that's okay. Anyway, what I wanted to say to you all was, and I'll see if I can move over to Illustrator. If I'm in Illustrator, you can't see that, can you? All right, and okay, so I'm going to stop sharing that and take you into a different software for a moment. Stop screen. Cool. And now I'm going to present, share screen again. And I'm going to share window, that, share. Cool. Now you can see my exhibit 100. All right. Okay, so this is a test today, guys. I'll get this a bit better. But the thing I wanted to show you, yeah, there's always some weirdness when streaming it. Because the thing is, I'm only showing certain tabs. And so I'm kind of getting used to what you can see and what you can't see. Right, so what I wanted to show you guys is this. Earlier, I was in Illustrator, and I didn't want to open this up because I didn't want to like have two things. I didn't want to muddy the waters for you guys, but also I didn't want to put too much pressure on my computer whilst I was streaming, but it seems to be handling it okay. All right, so now I get to show you exactly how vectors perform. And you can see what I did earlier. I was typing in some difference, what I usually do when I want to look for some type. I'm pretty up with what the different typefaces are, and I pretty much knew what I wanted to do. Oh, make a little cartoon character. Yeah. Okay. Shelley, I've already made you exhibit 100. Okay. No cartoon character right now. All right. So what I decided to do earlier is in Illustrator, I decided to get some type like this Dali talk. And oh, hello, Dali. This is not how I usually present things, but anyway. So I decided to get some type like this Dali talk, and you can do this thing in Illustrator where you basically put a mesh over the top of your type, and you can warp it in whichever way you like, and you can put a mesh over anything. Basically, it really helps if it is like vector, right?
Yeah.
And I was going to just, now that I'm in Illustrator, I can much easier show you the difference, right? So vectors, and I'm just going to go into Command Y mode for a minute so I can show you in more detail. Vectors are these, all right? So here we go. There's our points.
Yeah.
There are our little handlebars that make things move, and all the computer needs to remember is this dot and this dot and this dot. And all it needs to then remember is how these little handlebars are situated in order to create the curves. And then it remembers that all these dots connect and there's a fill. And in this case, there's a fill color of black. So it's very different to the way the computer remembers pixels, right? So with pixels, it remembers every single pixel, and it remembers that they are this particular coordinate of blue, this next particular coordinate of a little bit less blue, etc. So it's a really, really different way of remembering images. Now, the big advantage with vectors is that they are 100% scalable. So there's absolutely no loss.
Exhibit 100.
Exhibit 100, yeah. So
Completely
this exhibit
scalable.
100, yeah, is 100% scalable. So we could put this the size of a building, and it would not lose any quality whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we generally make logos and things like that in vector format, and vector format is generally built in this software called Illustrator. But we can then bring vector format over into Photoshop and it will hold on to its qualities. If we don't do this thing called rasterizing it, which is turning it into pixels.
Yeah.
So that is a really quick crash course in that. So what I did, again, was I went and took some type and I made it into this mesh. And then the next thing I did was I took that mesh, I decided I was happy with it, and I said, take the mesh away and just make it into some vectors that are in that shape. And it went, okay. And I thought, all right, that's sweet. And I feel like you'll be able to read that even really small in an icon. So it might not be black. I haven't decided yet, but at least we have something to work with over in Photoshop. So I'm gonna think I'm gonna take that now over to Photoshop and play with it. You feel so smart, Wendy. Why is that?
She's learning from you.
Oh, good. I'm kind of jumping around a little bit today, but I'm going to go back to Photoshop, and I'm just going now. Oh, I need to stop sharing. This is what I have to do. I need to stop sharing and start again. Okay, so do stop, and I go to Photoshop, and then we go present, share screen, different screen, even though it's not a different screen, and that one. No, that one. Thank you. Share. Nice. Cool. Alrighty. So now I've gone and put that there, and maybe I shouldn't have. Okay, hang on a minute. I'm just going to actually take this and copy it. You can't see what I'm doing right now, I know. Maybe a sec. Yeah, the reason I'm doing this is because I need to paste this as what's called a smart object. There it goes. Right, so I'm going to paste that down. I'm going to get rid of that one there that I don't want. Okay, so what you can see that I'm doing, and I'm just going to now give you guys a little bit of a look around Photoshop. So if you've never been into Photoshop before, this is your chance. So Photoshop is a little bit of a masterpiece. I'd like to say that it's pretty much not changed at its core since it was invented, which was actually the late 90s. So weirdly enough, there's a lot of things in Photoshop that, and I won't tell you when I learnt it, it wasn't that early, but it was in its single digits in versions when I started learning it. And there are actually commands and parts of Photoshop that are exactly as they were back then. I'm even teaching somebody right now CS3. So that is, because their company wants to just keep using the box that they bought back in 2009 or whatever it was. And amazingly, like, it's not that different. It's just got a lot of bells and whistles on it now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take you briefly around the screen. So if you have it at home, or if you use it at work, or if you want to download a trial of it and feel like working with it, you can just get onto the same page with me. And if you want to play this back later, you can. What I generally say to people when they are starting with me is set yourself up into the same workspace. So you go to Window, Workspace, and I like to go to this Essentials default. So reset Essentials, and then you will get everything looking the same as me. So you get your layers palette down in the bottom right-hand corner. You have the same set of tools down the left-hand side, and you have a bunch of little properties at the top. And it's a nice, clean layout. There's not a bunch of extra stuff that you have to worry about. And what I will just say is that the basics of Photoshop are pretty much these top few tools on the left. So you've got your Move tool, your Marquee tool, and your Lasso, Crop, etc. So you've got those ones, but you'll also spend a lot of time down here in the bottom right corner, which is your layers. And you'll see that I've already got a few layers set up, but generally, yeah, you'll work with layers a lot. Shelley, EU, will it matter if someone has a Mac or PC? Good question. No. In fact, I'll bring yours up. No. Pretty much they look exactly the same. In fact, I teach people on PC and I'm running a Mac. So I do that a lot. And basically the only difference is I use the word command for my key commands, and it's just, you just swap that for control. So control, like control Z or command Z is undo. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, one other thing. You guys have an Alt button instead of an Option button. So sometimes I'll say Command Alt Z when it's actually I say Command Option Z and you'll have Control Alt Z. So it's just, but they're right next to each other anyway on the keyboard. So it's pretty much the same. Twisted Bunny, never. What do you mean never? What are you running? Just get a PC and you'll never have to ask again. No, I don't want a PC because it'll constantly give me errors and say that it's scanning the system for some godforsaken virus that PCs get. And yeah, Bill Gates will be looking over my shoulder constantly. So no, thank you. Anyway, moving on. Right, so my layer palette is down in the bottom right-hand corner. Now, I'm actually working, yeah, that's right, Wendy. I'm actually working on a document which started off life as this photo, if you remember this photo. And the background layer is the photo that Sal gave me. So you can see that if I turn the little eye on in that bottom right-hand corner, I can see the photo that Sal gave me. Then if I turn on, because I put some things on top of this, right? So if I turn on the next layer above, you'll see that there's that clock that I was looking at earlier, right? And then if I turn on the layer above it, what did I do there? Oh, that's right. That's where I drew the blob, all right? And then if I turn on the layer above that, it's called Vector Smart Object, and that is that DALL-E Talk logo that I was just working with. Now, I can do fun things, like I can move around. See, watch me moving around. It's like a little sandwich, right? So I can move the fillings around. So I just put Vector Smart Object down below the blob. So the blob is on layer 2, all right? Layers, baby. So what I can do now is I can rename that layer 2 and I'll call it blob. And layer 1, I'll call it the clock. And this Vector Smart Object, what I'm going to do is I'll call it logo type. And I just want to show you that if I grab the move tool, which is this one up here, move tool, I can move this around. I can move that around. Oh, there's 2 of them. They're connected. Right. And I can move this around, blah, 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 blah. And I can move the clock to the front if I want. I can move it above the logo type. So you can see that they're all connected. Yeah, see, that's true, Shelley. You can get lost and not know what is what, and lots of people get lazy and don't name their layers. Yeah. I really recommend you name your layers. But there is also this cool thing. You can right-click on an object. So if I forget what's behind there, you can right-click and you get this little set of options. Mm-hmm. So it'll say, oh, look, behind there is this, this, and this. And even if they're not named, you can just sort of click through them and go, oh, yeah, I think it's that one. And you can go to it, and it'll highlight down in the layers palette. And that's really useful, especially if you've got like 100 layers. And that's quite common for me to have hundreds and hundreds of layers. So good luck me remembering which one's which. So that's helpful. Anyway, let's move on. So I would like to get a bit of a color palette going. I would also like to have a bit of a think about what we're going to do with this and this. Because what I'm planning, and I'm not going to get through all of this today, by the way,
That's okay.
but what I'm planning to do is make something kind of, if you have a look at my logo, I'm planning on something kind of circular that has the two cats, and I'm not sure whether I'm going to put Dali's face in it yet. I'm kind of thinking that Dali's face will use more for him to provide profile photos and things like that to use for panels.
Okay.
Yeah, so you don't have to have your face in the actual logo per se, right? But
Yeah.
you need to have it as part of your brand kit. And it should look like everything else. So it shouldn't just be a photo that's just like not connected in any way to the way the rest of your brand looks.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So if we have a color palette going, I'd like it to feel like it's part of that color palette and it's part of the style. So yeah, back to this. I'm thinking that what we could do is I'd like to cut this out to start off with. And the other one, I want to cut that out. And I also would like to look at how we could overlay them in an interesting way, the two cats. And then I would like to get the logo type and overlay that potentially on top of it. And then we might look at how we could incorporate some color and just like make it a little bit sort of trippy, something like that.
Okay.
So let's have a little bit of a play with that and see how far we get.
Sure.
The blob had a child. How sweet. Cats should be the model. That's what I think, Wendy.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of how I'm feeling about it. I feel like the cats are the Aussie cats are the stars of this. Like, everyone loves them. And they provide the funniest moments.
They do.
Well, sorry, Sal, I didn't mean to
No, they do.
say you're not funny, but they're
No,
pretty
I get it.
They are. Okay, let's go. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about selections. We spend almost all of our time in Photoshop making selections. Selections are one of the hardest things that Photoshop retouchers have to face. So what I like to do is I get up pretty close. I have a little bit of a look at what the difference is between the foreground and the background. I also decide what exactly I am going to select. So am I going to select just this canvas, or am I going to select the canvas and its shadow? I think in this instance, I'm going to just select the canvas. And here, I think I could probably get the best selection possible just with the plain old polygonal lasso tool. Yeah, I think that would be quite simple. Hello, MLS. How are you? And I make the cat dance. Look, if the cat dancing would help get subs for good old Sal over here, then sure. And I'm just going to start again, so I can talk people through how to use the polygonal lasso tool. So this is one of the simplest selection tools there is, apart from just your plain marquee tools like the square marquee tool, for example. The polygonal lasso tool is basically just making straight selections using ... and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm just going to start it on this corner here, and I'm going to go click like so. And I'm just going to go scroll over, scroll over, scroll over. And by the way, I'm holding down my space bar key in order to get this little hand to come up so I can just move the page over. And then I'm going to click once here and then click once there. Again, space bar, space bar, space bar, dragging the page. P.S. Don't try and do this with a trackpad. Do not. If I see any of my students trying to do this with a trackpad, because basically they're like this, like that, right? It's just completely inefficient. It's just no. No, you need a mouse. You need at least a mouse. And I've never really been a stylus tablet kind of girl. Like a good mouse is pretty much all you need. So click. Click. Now here, I wouldn't just do one click. I would do several just to get that little corner.
Gotcha.
It's a good idea to zoom in. People try and do this from too far away.
Yeah, you have to get.
And you get right in
very
there.
Clear.
Yeah, there you go. 2. All right, zoom out, command minus minus. Trackpads are annoying, Mads. It's like they barely work. They're dumb. And did I just, no, I didn't click away. All right, so this is what's called a selection, right? And you can see the little marching ants. Can you see the marching ants?
Yes.
You can? Oh, good. I was going to say, if you can't see the marching ants, then that's no fun. All right. Is there going to be a test? Don't know, Shelley. If you're paying attention, you're very good at this. I don't know. Maybe I'll ask like one question at the end. Because I am thinking of, it's hard to organize this with you guys being in America, but I do obviously I do private lessons. They're $70.
Yeah.
And I could absolutely give a discount to MLS Network members. For sure.
Yeah.
That could happen. That could happen.
Or you could maybe like
through.
Do a membership once you get monetized.
Well, yeah, I'm a long way from that at the moment.
Well,
but for now,
yes.
Obviously, like, I mean, I definitely want people to be members of the MLS network. So, and if you're a member, then sure, 10% at least, something like that. Cool. All right. So now I have a selection. I have like marching ants going on, and this is what we as Photoshoppers want. We want to have a nice clean selection around the object that we want to work with, because Photoshop doesn't understand the difference between the pixels in here and the pixels out there. It does not get it. It needs us to tell it.
Yeah.
Right. So once we've done that, we're going to go back down to our layers, and I'm just going to bring my layers palette up so people can get a better view of it. Can you see that? Why can't you see that? Why can't you see that? That's weird. Oh, that is freaky. Okay. I am absolutely freaking out about the fact you can't see my layers palette moving.
Is it moving for you?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it only shows one window at a time.
No. I see this layers palette down here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Watch me try and move it.
Huh.
See where my mouse is going?
Yeah.
I'm pulling the layers palette over and you're not seeing it.
No.
How weird is that?
StreamYard probably considers it like a different window, so it's not showing it.
That's full on. Okay. Yeah, I just find that really odd.
Yeah.
Okay. Never mind. Okay. We just work with what we've got. So at the moment, the kitty cat here is on what's called the background layer. Now, rule of Photoshop is you never ever. Sorry, Wendy, I just answered this question. Are vectors in Illustrator then? Almost always. They start life in Illustrator. They can be held in places like Photoshop and InDesign. However, their home is Illustrator. Yes, correct. Right, so back to this rule of Photoshop, and that is that we never ever work on the background layer. The background layer is like holy ground, okay? So what we do is we duplicate the background layer. So we grab it and we drag it onto the little square with the plus on it, there. And that way we've always got a backup of the original image, okay? And we can just flick it off. So we can turn the little eye off there. And then we end up with a duplicate of our background called background copy.
Okay.
Yep. And we can work with that one. Okay, cool. So now we have this one. And what we're going to do now is we're going to tell Photoshop to please cut out. And when I say cut out, we're going to create like a stencil, right? So it's almost like getting a big black piece of paper, cutting a hole in the black piece of paper that's exactly the shape that we just made, right? And we're going to put that stencil over that background copy layer so that only the cat and its canvas shows through, right? And we're going to do that by clicking this little, actually I'll do it through here. See this little guy at the bottom of the layers palette? Can you see when my mouse is going? I'm going to pull my mouse down to the bottom of the page.
Yeah.
There it is there. And that is called Add Layer Mask. There's another place you can get it. You can go up to the layer palette at the layer menu at the top of the screen and go layer. Can you even see that? No, you can't see it. You'll have to get used to what you can and can't see. Now, what we'll do is we'll use the one at the bottom of the layers palette. We have to be selected on the layer, so background copy. The marching ants have to be on, and we go 1, 2, 3 in, and we grab that little guy. And why can't you see my... Oh, why are you seeing the wrong thing? Hang on. Sorry, guys, boomerang for a second.
No worries.
Can you play some boomerang music? Why? Oh, now you can see it.
Oh,
it
nice.
has to be the one that's maximized.
Ah.
It must be the image, it must be the tab that's maximized. Otherwise, you don't see it all of a sudden. And I don't know why it unmaximized itself just then. Oh, dear me. Yeah, Mads, we need Benny Hill. Seriously. Okay, I'm just going to go back in time one step. And P.S., this is the history palette up here. The history palette, which you can't see, I'm going to pull it over here. Can you see it now? StreamYard might not be the best way to share this.
There are ways to share your whole screen.
Maybe that's the way to do it. Maybe rather than share just my tab, I might do that. Hang on just a second.
Yeah.
Give me a second, guys. Let's see if that works better. Now, if I go, yes.
Yeah, you can just do it that way.
Hey.
Just make sure, I mean, it's showing your whole monitor, so.
It's fine. It's totally fine.
Okay.
Yeah, all good. Yay. This is the history palette, guys. Here it is here. And check this out. Photoshop has 99 levels of undo, and they're not just undos. They are, you can see, literally see exactly what's happening. So just now I did this thing called Add Layer Mask. Now, if I wanted to not just go back and take away that layer mask, but if I wanted to go back and not duplicate the layer, not do the polygonal lasso, not just deselect, not just do the rectangular marquee, I could go all the way back in time to there. Check it out, right? And, oops. Idiot. And I just boomed big time.
No worries.
Yeah, I've got to go and make my thing again, but never mind. Yeah, so I could go forward and backwards unless I'm a complete idiot and I go and go back in time and then do another step, which will teach me for trying to do that. And I'll just show you how quickly we can make that selection again. Doop, doop, doop. Ba, 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 ba. Remember, I'm using the space bar in order to navigate around. So I'm holding the space bar down and then dragging the page around in order to navigate. And see, when I get to the end, see how the cursor changes to have a little hole, a little circle? That means I'm closing up the selection. So I'm going to let it close up the selection. Now, what I should have done earlier, and I recommend this especially if you're new to this, is go to the select menu at the top and go save selection. And that way you can't run into that problem that I just had a moment ago. In fact, it's funny, that selection probably still does exist, my old one, because I made a mask out of it. But I'll do this anyway because of the fact that I want to show everybody. So select menu and save selection. And I will just call this kitty canvas. Cool. All right, lovely. Okay, now we're going to get back to where we were. Hey, Christine. Cool. And now we're here. I'm just going to zoom out, zoom out, zoom out again. And you'll see, okay, I was trying to show you this earlier as well. I couldn't see it on the screen. But there is also these little guys now. These are actually new to this latest couple of versions of Photoshop. They give you a bunch of the tools that you would most likely use actually right on your canvas. And we would be using this one. It says create mask from selection. Now, one step that I need to go and do again is because I went back in time. I need to go and get in my layers. I need to go and duplicate background again. And I need to turn off the background layer. And now I have this background copy that I can play with. Why? Because the background layer is holy ground, right? So we need to keep it so we don't make a big mess. All right, so here we are on background copy. And this time I'm going to do it using these controls. It's exactly the same as using the controls at the bottom of the layers palette, or even going to layer. Where is it? Add layer mask. I never go up here. Layer mask. And it'll be reveal selection if we're going to do it that way. But no, this time we're going to use these controls down here and we'll just go bloop, like so. There we go. And what you'll see, and you might recognize this from if you've ever used like a transparent PNG file, is you get this checkerboard background going on. First to say in chat what the checkerboard background means.
I know.
No, not you. First to say in chat. Otherwise, I'll keep moving on and then someone tell me. Moving around, moving around. Hey, Kitty Boo Boo. Hello. I don't know you. How's it going? Transparency. You are correct. You are correct. Mads, you're kind of right. There ain't nothing there. That's it. Okay, so basically, Photoshop doesn't expect that there is a background. As far as it's concerned, there's nothingness. Nothingness, nothingness, nothingness. And you need to put something on top, right? So when I turned off that background layer, I therefore took away whatever was on the bottom, right? And yes, I took away whatever was on the bottom. So I made it so there was transparency. And then when I put that layer mask on, or basically when I like to refer to it, to people who are new to this, I refer to it as a stencil because it's easier to understand the fact that I cut a hole in something and I let the thing that we selected show through, right? So if you have a bit of a look at the layers palette down here, and I know it's really small, but you can see that the shape that we made, we've cut that shape, a little white hole through like a black piece of paper, right? And we're showing the cat in the canvas through it, if that makes sense. Yeah. And that's what they call a layer mask, but that's just a fancy way of saying like a stencil, right? Like a big black piece of paper with a hole in it. Okay. And it's attached to that layer that has the picture on it. And this layer below it, we've turned it off so you can't see it. So everywhere in these checkerboard areas, that's code for nothing, right? That's empty space. And if we were to like export that right now as something like a PNG file, it could go onto the web, for example, and it would have nothing behind it. Okay, cool. So we've got that, and I wanted to do the same thing to okay, we got him. Where's the other one? So there's one of him and there's one of those two, yeah? Is that how it works? Sal?
Yeah.
Oh, he's not. He's gone. Okay.
No, I'm here. Sorry.
That's all right. Okay, so very quickly, let's just go through that again. Very fast. Fast. Okay, cool. All right, so we've got a little bit of a divot up there. That's fine. We can still do that. You can see those pixels. They're not going to be a big deal, though. The reason being that most of the things that Sal's going to do are going to be for screen. And screen output is 72 dpi. 72 dpi basically means, oh, do I want that thing? Oh, it's being cut off anyway.
Yeah.
72 dpi means that screen resolution, it's quite low, right? So you don't zoom in like this, like you don't actually see all of this detail. You see it from a distance. So it's not like imperative that you get all of this detail here looking super sharp. You really see it from out here, right? So we do have a little bit of an issue in that these are skewed, these images are skewed, but we are doing DALL-E-esque.
True.
True.
Or I can get another
All
one.
right. No, it's all good. All right, so we did it. We made the selection, done. And we're going to go, first we have to go and duplicate the layer duplicate. There we go. Turn off background. And what am I going to do next, everybody? You can answer if you want. Dolly?
Switch them around.
Huh?
No, I'm sorry, what?
Okay, so I just made a selection. I just turned off the background layer.
Okay.
And then what am I going to do next?
I don't know. I know.
I'm going to make a layer mask.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So
Gotcha.
click like so. Yeah. Very good. Okay. And now I have two of these guys ready to go. And they have their transparency on them. Now, here's the thing. What size canvas would I like to work on in order to bring together these guys, that DALL-E type that I was working on before, and some other elements? I need to think about that because people don't generally think about what size canvas they're going to work on. They just start throwing things onto any size canvas, and then they end up with something that's either giant and it's weighing down their computer, or too small and it ends up looking like garbage and they have to start again, or they just go, oh, it'll do, and it looks like a mess, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to go File, New. I'll bring the new document window up. And I like to be on the safe side. So I'm not going to go in pixels. I'm going to go in millimeters, because millimeters rock.
Mm,
And I'm an Australian and I understand
fair.
millimeters, right? So I know that if I go something like 400 millimeters, which is 40 centimeters, by another 400, and I'll keep it at 300 DPI because that's print resolution. I like to be prepared, right? So I'll be prepared for, that's just a square, right? So I've just made a square, doesn't matter. And if I change that over, I know you guys are US, so I'll just change that over to inches. So that's 15.748, right? So say 15 inches, right? So that's pretty decent size.
Yeah.
Yeah. 15. Yeah. That big? Yeah. Cool. Got your rulers out? Cool.
Yeah, this is 8 inches.
Yeah, double that.
Yeah.
Okay, and 300. So that means that I could print a pretty decent size image of that. I could print it, not just look at it on screen. I could print it, right?
Okay.
So that means that a lot of the things that we're going to be bringing in are going to come in probably a little bit small, right? We'll see, because we've got web-ready images, basically, or screen-ready images. Should use only the tip if it's that big. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so I'm going to set that up like that. I'm going to keep it in RGB color because we're going to be working mainly for screen. I'm not going to go into the difference between CMYK and RGB right now. We're going to do that another day, and we'll go create. So I'm going to set up a brand new document. Why did I set it up with a black background? That was done. I'm just going to turn off the background anyway, start a new layer. No black, delete. Cool. Usually you should start with a transparent background. For some reason I had it set to be a black fill. That was dumb. But generally a transparent background is normal. Okay, so we have a square. And so that's my untitled too. Now watch this. This is cool. I can really easily, because I have these cats, they're on layers with their layer masks that are linked to them. I can just grab them. So I can just go like so. And this one here, I can just go, I need to take it like that. So I need to actually grab the window and have it floating on top. So where's this untitled 2 that I have? Okay, so I need to have the 2 windows near one another, and I bring the one that I want to drag over and bring it to the front, so I have its layers available to me, and then I can grab it and go like that. And you can see that they are proportionate to one another because they came from the same camera shooting at the same pixelage. So, and I was right, they're a bit small, but that's okay. It's just because I made a big image at 300 DPI to put them onto. Okay, so that part's fine. The other thing I would like is the type that I made. So I'll just go and get, where is it? Title 1, there it is. Okay, now if I go and have a look at his layers. Okay, yes. So I'm going to turn off his background. Yep. Okay, so I wanted this one because he is a vector smart object. And this is in answer to Wendy's question earlier. So Wendy was saying, so vectors are over in Illustrator, right? And I said, yeah, they start life in Illustrator. They can live in Photoshop and InDesign and other programs. Right now, these are still vectors. The reason I know they're vectors is because they're on this layer called a vector smart object, and they have this little thumbnail thing, little shape in the bottom right-hand corner. That tells me that they've retained their vector quality, right? And I know that because if I zoom in, no matter what, if I scale this up and down, and I can, like for example, I'm going to bring, what I'll do is I'll bring this from this image over into the other image. Right, there he is. Watch this. So there he is. He's actually much better quality there than he was over there, because that's a smaller image. And I can then go and scale him up. Watch this. And scale him up like so. And he doesn't get pixelated. He never does.
Yeah.
Because he's actually getting his vector information from his original file. He's still vectors, right? He's just being represented in a pixel program. So it's a little bit sort of tricky to explain, but it is actually still the same vector file, and you can even still edit it. You can even go like this. You could double click it and it will open here in this program, see? And if I were to make an update to it, this is actually really cool. If I were to make an update to it, like if I were to take this curve here and I wanted to make it, or even just move the D a little bit, move the D. So immature. You people have just like completely made me into such a deviant. I was never like this before.
Sure.
Never. Yeah, right, never. Okay, so if I do that to the A, right? So I change the A just a little bit. Yeah. Oh, hey David, welcome back. So we're gonna test you, right, at the end. So if I just change that a little bit, right, and then I press the cross button, so I cross it out, and then it says, "Would you like to save that?" And I go, "Yeah, okay, save," like that. And then I go back to Photoshop. See, did you see that happen? Did you see the change?
Yeah.
Like it went, bloop. It just updated.
I see.
So cool. It's so cool. Sorry, that never gets old. Never gets old. All right. Okay. So we have this thing. Oops. We have this thing that we can move around. Ah, I have all 3 layers selected. I should not. I'm going to turn this one off. All right. So what if we have this and this, and we have this logo-y thing? I'm going to scale it down. Cool. Not quite sure what I'm going to do with these yet. We'll get to that in a minute. Now, I also downloaded. I'll go file open. And oh, I have to just 2 seconds. MLS. Why, thank you. I know, like, it is part of the reason why I do this, is because, and people have always said that, and it's part of the reason I've chosen this name, actually. Oh. People have always said, "Oh, you get so excited about everything." Yeah, I know. All right, so I found that.
Nice.
And I found these. And I found, oh, that's the same thing. Yeah. What's this? Oh, nothing. Okay, that's fine. All right. So I was thinking about all these things, and I was thinking about, like, especially like this one, right? Because that would look kind of cool. Oops. Yeah.
Yeah.
If we were to do something that was kind of like, if that were to kind of fade out, and I'll just get rid of your cats for a minute, and we put,
I'm really sorry. I'm going to have to get going in a few minutes.
Yeah, it's fine.
Thank you, though, for all this.
That's all right. Yeah, so if we were to do something kind of like that, and then we were to get your cat to sort of like overlay Hang on. And I'm thinking let's get them and sort of, now I want to show you guys something fun. All right, so Sal is cute. Yeah, I know. All right, so if I were to take these 2 layers and go filter, I'm going to have to make them into a group. Hang on. Filter. Just going to duplicate them for a second. Then I'm going to merge that group. Aha. Liquify. Now, this is going to be asking a little bit of my computer, but there is this thing here called liquify, and I can do this thing called twirl clockwise. Now, let's see how it goes. Whoop. Now, this thing is actually the tool, like this tool here is actually the tool they use like in magazines to like make boobs bigger and to make it like thighs smaller and stuff like that, because like there is like this also here, like there is the bloat tool. So bloop, 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 that's the boobs, right? There is this one here is like can bring your thighs in and things like that. You've probably seen like things like that are on like phone apps.
Yeah.
But I thought that this might be kind of useful. So yeah, if we kind of have a look at that, go okay. Boom. Okay, so I do have a copy of the original, so I didn't wreck it completely. And then if I were to take that and overlay or multiply, for example. Just going to get rid of Dali Talk for a second. Yeah, so my idea is to try and like do something with these guys so nice. They kind of become part of it.
Yeah.
And then maybe these guys are still, oops. These guys are still there, but they're there in a different way. Oh, it's so spooky. Alrighty. And I'll bring this back, but I haven't decided exactly what to do with it yet. I mean, it could just, I'm going to bring it to the top for a second. It could sit like that, or it could, hang on, I might just put this in the center so that people aren't distracted. I could just put it in the center like so. Just going to crop this down for a second.
Nice.
Or I could duplicate that and do it in, there's this other section here called layer style, and I could do a color overlay and turn it, why is white not working? Oh, opacity. Okay, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Thought that might work, but it's too light underneath. So what you can do instead is you can do outer glow, but that's no good. I need to make it very, and the color's not quite right. It would need to be more. And I don't mind this idea because it's got kind of a bit of a Monty Python kind of feel.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I like it.
yeah, like if we kind of went like so, and then what we could also do is we could do an inner shadow as well. So we could go, that's an outer glow. And then if we went inner shadow, and then like the size of the inner shadow, oh, that's too much. We went choke the inner shadow. It's called choking, weirdly enough. We choke the inner shadow inwards like so, and the size goes inwards a bit. It's too much. And put a little bit of noise in there. That's too, I don't know. Yeah, see, because you know how the Monty Python has all those little characters, and they're very much based on Dali's drawings, and they are kind of like little painted objects that are sort of like all collaged together, and they tend to have this kind of look like they're drawn porcelain or something like that. I'm not quite sure. I haven't quite got the look yet. But I think it might be also, this color might need to be a little bit more kind of, yeah, I'm not sure if that's right yet. Something like that. So like that could work, or maybe even just maybe the black is better. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I like
I
it
think
though.
that's probably enough for today.
Yeah.
But I'll do a little bit more, and I'd like to do something that sort of fades out. And also, I'd like there to be a background. Like, I need to work on the background for your StreamYard. Yep. But I do I like the fact that it's kind of the same color as your wall. And
yeah.
I like the cats are there, but I want the cats to be a bit more prominent. So yeah. So we're getting somewhere. Has anyone got any questions before we finish up? Is anyone still here? I have no idea that this is about trials. Yeah, we didn't get to talk about trials.
Oh yeah.
I know.
Next time.
Yeah, I know. But you're welcome to, like, legit, when I'm talking, you can completely derail the chat and talk trials if you want, or you can start talking trials at me, totally. But today though, Mads, I had so much little issues with Boomerang, how the screen sharing worked, that I was like, well, how am I going to make this happen? But I'm happy now though, because I've worked out, and thank you, Sal.
Yes,
I've worked out how to do it. No, Sal's logo has nothing to do with trials. But my idea was that if I'm doing something related to just, it can be anything, it can be like, a channel or someone we know, but we just chitty chat about trials. So the chitty chat can be about gossip, just if I want to have a bit of a rant about something that's happening in one of the trials, about Koberger and how he's being framed, because I love to talk about that. I generally will. MLS, thank you. I'm hoping not to make it look too easy, because the idea is that I go hopefully slow enough, at least at some points, to explain things. You have many questions? Do you want to just fire one?
Or you could come on next time, maybe.
Or you could come on next time. I'll have to go back and watch and do it along. Sure, Shelley. And if you want it, also, the other thing I wanted to say is requests. So if there's anything you particularly want me to cover, if there's anything you particularly have questions on, if you'd rather I spent some time in Canva, Illustrator, Indesign, I spend most of my day in Indesign, to be honest. So yeah, if there's anything, even if you just want like foundational layout skills, anything to do with like brand implementation, if you want me to like cover off anything that's been happening in the news with branding, can do that. Yeah, so I'm actually a branding lecturer, so I can help with that kind of stuff. But anyway, that was so much fun. Thank you everyone who joined me. Thank you
For
so
sure.
much.
Thank you.
And I'll have a little bit of a think about how I can offer those lesson discounts through MLS Network. I really appreciate it.
Yes, it has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, cool. And I'll get that thing finished for you, Salvador.
Thank you. When you get a chance.
All right. Cool. It's Father's Day here in Australia, so I'm going to go and spend some time with my dad.
Awesome.
And all the dads everywhere. Happy Father's Day, even if it's not Father's Day where you are. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
All right. Bye.